Hey Northwest, welcome to week number 3 of the 4-week focus. We are really happy to be going on. I hope this is going well for you. We're excited for what the Lord's doing in your life. Christian, tell us a little bit about these last 2 weeks for you.
Yeah, I love that we're doing this 4-week focus, taking 4 weeks just to think about who we're becoming. If you were a part of week 1, we just thought about it. Who am I becoming? Who's Jesus making me to be?
Yeah.
And then week 2, noticing what's going on in my heart, in my life. What are things I might need to fight? What are things I need people to come around me, hold me accountable to, help me pray for? But really just to find healing and restoration, freedom that's found in Jesus. So that's been awesome first 2 weeks, but I'm really excited for week 3.
Yeah, this is a great one. We're talking about practicing today. And really the weeks kind of build on each other. And that was very intentional on our part because we wanted you first to pause and say, who does God want me to become? 2, second week, we wanted you to notice what are the areas of growth that we really want to have in our hearts. And week 3 is about practicing, really being able to build our lives around the habits and the lifestyles of Jesus, and to look at what do spiritual disciplines look like, and what is the lifestyle of Jesus that we want to take on for ourselves, both personally and with people around us. And so looking at practicing, Christian, tell us a little bit more of what that looks like.
I love this topic so much.
I know you do.
I know. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
I know you do.
Practicing. Most of my life as a follower of Jesus, I thought basically if I went to church and if I didn't make mistakes, if my morals were good, then I'd become better. But the truth is, we've all been there, and you look at your life and you go, you know what? 10 years later, I hit a cap, and I don't think I really look more like Jesus. And when I think about Jesus, it's easy to think about the teaching or the miracles, but what about the life? Like who Jesus was? He's not just God, he's also human. He was the true human, the true idea of what it means to be a person, who's not anxious, who's unhurried, who finds total rest. They're just totally at peace, full with love and kindness and generosity. And it's not just because he's God. I actually think that it's because Jesus had a lifestyle, he had rhythms, he had habits that shaped him into being that sort of person. And so this week we're talking about practicing. Why? Because the Christian life isn't so much one of just striving and trying, but it's actually, as Dallas Willard would say, it's one of training and even practice. And we have to practice to become the sort of people who Jesus is making us to be. And I'll tell you, this has changed my life. In the last 4 years, learning about practices, and not as a burden, not to prove how good of a Christian I am. It's not legalism. It's not to prove whether or not you're saved. It's actually, no, I want to step into the life Jesus has for me. That's what practicing is all about. And so one of the best scriptures that Jesus taught, I think, ever on it is Matthew 11. Jesus sends out the disciples, sends them on ministry. People are following him, and he calls them back, and he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take up my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden's light. Now, I think about the rest all the time and what it means to be a person of rest, and that's what I want. But what I often forget is that the way rest is found, and the way not only that rest is found, but the way that I become a person of rest is by taking on his yoke, essentially partnering my life with Jesus, stepping into the life he has for me. As I begin to lean into him as our teacher, as our instructor, as the person who has a lifestyle for me, and take up his life, it forms me into the sort of person who's actually at rest. And so our question for this week is, what are the practices, the spiritual disciplines? What's the discipline or the practice that you need for your life? And not forever, but for this season. Maybe in this season of your life, you need to just read the Bible every day. Maybe in this season of life, you need to commit to just praying 3 times a week. Maybe some of you, it's Sabbath. It's taking 24 hours once a week to get alone, not even get alone, but to reflect and delight and contemplate. Maybe it's silence and solitude. Maybe it's going on walks with God. There's hundreds of spiritual disciplines out there. True. And the question is, what is the one that you need for this season of your life? Not to prove anything, but really to shape you into a person who's more like Jesus. And so we hope you enjoy this week. Consider what practices you need. Talk about it with your community, with your group, and we will see you for the last week next week.
See you next week.